I'm not in a place to discuss what happened, okay? I felt like Jodie Foster in the accused last night.
Q1043 streaming.
Hey, Trunk, back with you a little later on in the show. Black Country Communion, two members of it, Glenn Hughes and Joe Bonamassa, in the studio. If you haven't heard that band yet, we'll play a couple tracks and talk to the guys. Looking forward to that. Really loving that record. But right now, we are going to welcome in, of course, a close friend, and I never in my life thought I would be introducing him this way in my lifetime, by saying the former drummer of Dream Theater. Man, is that weird. Mike Portnoy. How did that feel, man?
That's the first time I've heard that, man. It's absolutely shocking. I got to tell you, bro, I am totally nervous to death to do this. I have never been scared to do an interview before, and you're my buddy, you're my bro forever. But I'm like really nervous about doing this interview. I got to like pick and choose my words extremely carefully because I want to make sure nothing is misinterpreted.
Well, I'll be gentle, Mike. Look, I appreciate you doing that. I know you haven't talked to anyone else, and I know it's a very, very tough time for you, and it's obviously a sensitive issue to the Dream Theater fans, to you, the band, everything that's gone on here. So to get us started, tell everybody what went down and how we've arrived at this point that you are out of. As when the first news came out, I mean, I sent you a text. I said, are you out of your own band? I mean, how is that possible? So I think that's what a lot of people are thinking, because clearly you weren't just some drummer. You were very much a focal point, a driving force of this whole thing. So what happened?
Well, I don't know how to sum it up, but I mean, I guess I could sum it up by just saying I was put in a position where I kind of had to quit in order to move forward. I mean, I don't know. I love Dream Theater. I love the guys. It's been my baby for 25 years. But I just needed a break from Dream Theater. And a lot of people have already misinterpreted my press release saying that, well, if he needs a break, why is he playing with all these other bands? I didn't need a break from playing and from touring and doing projects. I really just felt like Dream Theater needed a break. We had been on an endless write, record, tour cycle, for a solid 12, 15 years, almost 20 years at this point, without any real breaks. And I was just feeling like, it was, I don't know, it was just a pattern that needed to be broken. And this isn't something that I just, started feeling and decided overnight. I mean, this dates back to last year. I was already feeling it, and we were in Europe on the Progressive Nation tour last fall, and I even suggested to the guys, why don't we not tour as much in 2010? We were going to do an American tour in the spring, and we ended up blowing that out just because I really felt the need to shake up the cycle and break the pattern that we've been doing for so long, because it was starting to become a little stale to me, and I would go off and do these other projects, and they were very refreshing to me, and yet I'd come back to Dream Theater, and as much as I love the music, and as much as me and the band members are brothers, I just felt like we needed a break from each other in order to reignite the flame. And, dating back to last fall, I was feeling it, and then when I was out with Transatlantic this last spring, I was talking about it with some people on that tour, and then when we were out with Maiden this summer, I knew it was coming to a head. And finally I brought it up to the guys and suggested, why don't we just take a little bit of a break? We've been going nonstop for so many years. I think maybe a couple of years hiatus would do us good and, give us each a chance to recharge our batteries and be re-inspired. And those guys didn't agree with me. They wanted to keep going, and they wanted to start a new album in January, and I just really felt strongly that a break could do us some good, and we just disagreed on that point. And basically it came to, after this initial discussion, we went off for about a week or so to think about it, and we came back together a couple of nights ago to talk about it, and they didn't want to budge. They really wanted to start the album in January, with or without me, and I really felt if I was forced to go into the studio in January feeling the way I'm feeling, that my heart wouldn't be in it, and I would be going through the motions and not really doing what I, really, really felt in my heart I should be doing, which is, getting a breather and I don't know, and that's what happened. Basically, I was put in a position where I either had to do the album in January against my will, or I had to say goodbye, and I chose saying goodbye. It was the hardest decision I've ever made in my life, and I feel really sad about it, and those guys are really sad about it. You know, it's kind of weird that it came to this because none of us really wanted it, but inevitably this is the way it went down.
Well, yeah, it doesn't sound like, I mean, you didn't want to quit, and obviously they didn't want you out. It really just seems like it was a disagreement as to where you were in your life with the band and what they wanted to do, and I guess the odds came out to 4 against 1, and they decide they're going without you.
That's exactly it. I mean, I didn't want to quit, and they didn't want me to leave, you know, but yet here we are, and it was the only way that they could happily move on and I could happily move on. And, you know, it's a weird kind of breakup because it was a breakup where we still love each other. You know, I got, like, the nicest email today from John Petrucci, and I got a great email today from Jordan, and, you know, they miss me, and they're sad about this, and I'm sad about it, and I'm heartbroken, but we just strongly disagree. I really think that the band could have used a few years to recharge our batteries, and so many bands have done it, you know, whether it be Soundgarden, Alice in Chains, Jane's Addiction, Fish, you know, Rage Against the Machine. You know, a lot of bands, when you're going this long and this strong, you know, they take a break and then come back bigger and better than ever, and that's kind of what I hoped would happen with Dream Theater, and I was hoping that would be the path we could take together, but it was not to be.
We're talking with Mike Portnoy, who is now the former member of Dream Theater. Mike is currently, amongst the many bands he's played with, is currently on the road with a red-hot band right now, Avenged Sevenfold, which you played on the album, the #1 album, Nightmare, and you're currently out on a huge tour playing with those guys. Mike, how much of... I mean, Avenged is, especially with the younger crowd, a very high-profile, very successful band in metal. You know, we were talking off-air just before we put you on. I mean, you guys are playing to 10,000-plus a night in America right now with Disturbed. You know, how much do you think that playing with Avenged and the other projects that you do, that you're always busy working creatively, doing other things, whether it's Dream Theater or not, how much do you think that played a role in this coming down, if any?
Well, it absolutely had nothing to do with my initial thoughts because, like I mentioned earlier, I was already discussing this with the guys last fall. And last fall, the Rev was still alive and well, and, I had nothing to do with Avenged Sevenfold, and I was already feeling these feelings, last September, October. And if you watch the Wither video that we shot on that tour, I mean, almost all the footage is me hanging out with Michael Ackerfeld or Damon Fox. I mean, I was already feeling some separation from the guys in Dream Theater. So, the groundwork and those feelings was already laid down back then. So, really the feelings had nothing to do with Avenged Sevenfold. And once 2010 rolled around, I went and did some shows with Hale, and then I went and did a couple months of touring with Transatlantic, and then I did, started the tour with Avenged Sevenfold. And all three of those projects, not just Avenged, but all three of those projects equally showed me how I was feeling very comfortable and happy and refreshed with some of these other bands. And, I'd go back to Dream Theater, like on the Maiden tour, and, the relationships between the five of us in Dream Theater were a bit strained, Everybody was kind of just burnt out on each other, sitting in different dressing rooms and not hanging out. And, like I mentioned, if you watch the Wither video, there was a bit of that strain, and 25 years together, sometimes we'll do that. We love each other, we're brothers, we're family, but, sometimes you kind of grow apart and need some space, and that's what I was feeling. So, honestly, this all was brewing way before Avenged Sevenfold, but Avenged Sevenfold, the experience with them kind of just opened my eyes a bit, as did the Transatlantic tour and as did the Hale shows. It just opened my eyes up to, what a fresh relationship can be, and I don't know. It's real tough for me to put in words, and I really don't want to be misinterpreted, but I really don't want people to think that I left Dream Theater for Avenged Sevenfold. I am not a member of Avenged Sevenfold. I'm just touring with them